Hello, hello, you rare percentage of people who click on kooky videos like this. Welcome back. I won't spend too much time in ceremony. You know where to find the information. That is in the description box below. I did get quite a few downloads while I was doing things, just generally in the interim, since I had a chat with you last. I've actually been getting for 3 days now about sad songs, of all things. I've been getting really strongly off and on for at least 3 days, maybe more. So I'm thinking that this is possibly a little bit of an ongoing thing for a while, that there's going to be a need to play sad songs. That there's going to be losses and endings. All sorts of losses and endings. And this is not necessarily a bad thing, although it may feel like it at the time, but just that everything has its cycle, and some cycles are ending, some things are reaching their natural conclusion, and there will be some people leaving the planet. As usual, there is people leaving the planet every day, but I think that there's something a bit bigger than just your usual daily exodus. I think, what was I getting? There will be something quite sad happening, but it will be like a bittersweet. There will be losses and gains for everyone in this event, but when the event happens, you won't have time to process it emotionally. And so for some reason, this is what I've been getting. It was such a strange sort of thing to think that I actually did check with the coins, the sage. Is this what I'm hearing? And I got the 3 yeses. So, awake. It's time for a living awake. This could go on for weeks possibly, or days. I'm not sure. I keep hearing 21 days. I don't know if that's... I don't think that's an exact amount or anything. It's just like a vague amount. But I'm getting that it's time for a living wake, and you don't actually know what you're saying goodbye to, so it's time. It's sort of almost like a gratitude thing, but with the extra kind of gravity of any one of these things or people or scenarios could come to an end, and it won't necessarily be what you expect or in the way that you expect. But I keep hearing threes, like 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. Like in 3 years, you're not going to recognise some aspects of your life compared to now. I mean, that's often true, but I think this is a period of rapid change. There is going to be some major world shifts that are just going to affect everyone generally, and a lot of things are going to end or change. And to just take in what you have now, because, well, some of it's already ended. You just can't actually see the results of the ending that's already happened. It's already happened in the 5D, or it's already happened on paper, even if you can't feel it yet. Things will be very different. So, sad songs is what I got. A living wake. Just treasure those people who you are close to, and tell them that you love them, and remember the good times together, and play your favourite songs and sing your favourite songs, and that this is a message for DJs too, that there needs to be a sad song or two every day in the set, that people need help in processing the grief. But it's like, for two reasons. It's because of past and future. Some of us have been through had a lot of grief, and we haven't had time to process it. It's like there's a little window now before the next significant earth-shifting psychological thing that happens. So to take this little bit of time that you have to sing those sad songs and let yourself cry if you need to, because you've lost a lot. And even if it's good that you lost it, it still feels like a loss, and everything is going to be replaced with something better, and the things that are truly yours you can't actually lose. Like, even if someone leaves their meat suit, that connection lives on in your heart and in your mind, and, you know, they continue in another direction. Some people are not ready to accept that, but if you're open to it, you can even feel them sometimes. They will come to you if you really need them to, in a flash or in a dream or something like that, if you need to hear from them. So the other thing about the sad songs is that the sad songs to process the grief that you're going to have in the future, because when the grief, the thing that happens that is going to make you feel sad, you may not have time to process it at the time. You may be in shock or just trying to understand what's happened. Or you may just have to do practical things to sort of pick up the pieces and move forward and help those who are still around, who are still standing. So I don't know if I've explained that message well enough. Is this actually recording? Yes, okay, yes, we are recording. So, and it's funny because I'm not feeling that intense sadness as I'm saying it to you right now, this whole thing about the wake. But I was feeling it very strongly in waves of 10-minute waves here and there, that this bittersweet energy, that there's losses and gains all mixed up together. And even if it's your enemies, so to speak, because there are no enemies in the end, it's actually all one thing, but at the end of the day, but the enemies in your little narrative for the moment, even if they go down, you know, you have to have something in common with your enemy or adversary, let's use that word, your adversary, for them to be worthy of being your adversary. And often they are someone, they had to get close enough to be able to be an adversary. So there was a connection with them on some level at some point. And also, you know, just being in conflict with someone is a sort of an attachment of sorts. So even the relief of something that you didn't want to be happening being over can be, it's just like the emotion. It might not be the grief so much, it's just a release of emotional intensity. I'll put a trigger warning in the title, I think, because also I was getting very strongly for the last few days this whole thing about God or mammon. Now, I did actually take a screenshot of the Bible verse that relates to this. I think it might have been Mathew 16 or something like that. I'm not big on reading the Bible, but I was getting this very strongly about God or mammon, or just the concept that you can't serve two masters, and that is critically important at the moment. And it seems to me, from what I was getting, is that some people already decided, whether they realised they decided or not, that they were serving God or mammon. Maybe in the case of children or whatever, they haven't decided already and they may need to decide. But hopefully they get a chance to see both and decide for themselves, because, you know, this has to be a willing decision. But you can't serve two masters. And now, even if you don't believe in God, I can't imagine why somebody didn't believe in a higher power would be watching a video like this. But in that rare opportunity, let's say you're into science, it still applies. You cannot serve the science and serve the vested interests of, say, a biased person who's funding your research. You know, there's going to be a time when you're going to have to make it known what you have chosen. You have chosen to serve your benefactors in terms of funding, or you've chosen to serve the truth. And that's going to have consequences for you, whichever way you choose. Both, you know, if you decide to choose, I'm getting to use the word devil, it's not actually my kind of language, but if you decide to serve materialistic concerns, then the pressure that's going to happen at some point will be so much that you are possibly going to risk or will lose everything that is not mammon. If you have chosen to serve mammon, you could very potentially lose all your ethics, or, you know, have to make terrible compromises, sacrifice all those things that are good and true, just because we're in such an extreme kind of turning point. I don't know if turning point is the right word. I've got also written here 0 point is relevant to someone, but this is like something's going to happen where you're going to realize you've chosen God or mammon. And if you choose God, you're also going to lose everything at some point that is mammon. And I don't think these losses are permanent, but you will have to go through the eye of the needle either way. If you're serving mammon, it is going to require you to do some fairly soulless things that, you know, you're really going to have to put your goodness aside in order to succeed in this, because it's just getting more and more cutthroat, more and more ruthless, malicious, deceptive, and greedy, power hungry. All those negative aspects associated with serving materialism are only going to get more extreme in the next, I don't know how long. I keep hearing like 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. Like, there's going to be these turning points or eye of the needle points. That's why I kept getting the whole thing of like having to go for some part of the journey. And this could be just a journey through the symbolic realm. It doesn't have to manifest in the 3D, although it very may well be in the 3D. I was actually getting quite significant earth changes and geopolitical events, but you don't have to be getting messages from spirit to know that. You only need to switch on the news to know that. But what I was getting through Spirit is that it's only going to become more extreme. Most people, the Pangea moment happened quite some time ago. You already signed your contract quite some time ago for the adults in the room. You either chose to go with materialism, or you chose to go with God, love, light, truth, life, love, truth, God, and light, or you chose to go with all the power, money, status, bank accounts, positions, property, power, things like that. You already decided some time ago, and you are going to be forced to go with the consequences of that at some point. Now, it's only, it may not be so great for the karmics. And I think this is what I was getting. For us here, who have chosen, and there's that word, those of us who have chosen to cling with all we've got to the truth, to love, to cling to truth, to cling to that which we know to be good and wholesome to the best of our understanding, to cling to the truth rather than to lies, to stick with our integrity. I feel we're fairly safe, even as we're like in the eye of the storm almost. We've been put in a place of safety while the storm rages around us, but it's hell out there for the karmics. Whatever, we've already been through some of the worst of it, but for the karmics now, they're starting to get a taste of what we have been going through our whole lives. And yet they've already been afforded their grace. Most of them have used up most of the grace that they were allotted, and squandered it. And so now, those who have chosen materialistic things, it's going to be very extreme for them and painful. It's just going to be painful and sad. Very sad. It's going to be, even if a tyrant goes down and we're all of us who are on the side of the good, who didn't like the tyrant, goes down, the collateral damage on the way down, and the stupidity of it all, and the waste of it all, and the relief that it's over, it's going to be a lot to take in emotionally and mentally. On the secrets, that's the other thing, as they go down and suddenly those who have been holding their tongue can suddenly speak freely, and the information comes to the surface, and you start to discover more of the horrors that they were, and evil deeds that they were involved with, and the shock of all that. But you will barely have time to process the consequences, because it'll be happening so, the impacts of it will be so quick. So it's like, I can feel, for some of the karmics, it's already hitting pretty hard, and they're going to lose a lot. They've already started losing, but it's real eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth out there. There's no mercy in their system. If you're dealing with loan sharks, they're not going to be friendly if you don't pay up. And they're all loan sharks. They're all the devil is coming to collect. And they will be paying and I just get that somehow singing sad songs is going to before these, it's almost like sing them now it's going to be like lessening the amount of sad songs that you need to sing if you sing some of them now, because there's a lot of anger around right now. There's a lot of clashing of titans, so to speak, and just energetically there's gaskets blowing and anger and people's plans not turning out the way they wanted to, for these karmics. But beneath that, what's driving all this anger is fear and sadness, and it's like, well, if it's almost like the lid on the pressure cooker. It's like there's so much sadness that's not being acknowledged that, you know, if the DJ could just play a sad song a couple of times a day to help people process this emotionally, then the blowout's not going to be as bad as if it would be if some of this sadness doesn't get expressed. All right, I've been speaking for a very long time on this topic and I haven't even thrown any coins. I also did get unexpected alliances are going to be happening, because you're going to be surprised who is also chosen to go with the good, because it's just going to be so contrasty for a little bit before the colours blend together again. It's like some kind of, maybe it's 3 years of pressure or something, where all these karmic institutions just crumble and blow out. And I just keep seeing, like, if a big monster was going down, as their body goes down and it flops and writhes around like this, and it's crushing things as it's dying, like this big monster's going down. And that the earth is going to be rebalancing things and healing things, so it's just a lot of change. But in all of this rebalancing, it's going to be, you're going to get some nice surprises at who's going to join you in an alliance. I think there's some nice surprises there. And also on the side of those who have chosen to be materialistic, selfish, power-hungry, greedy and deceptive, that, you know, those who have chosen to kill, deceive and destroy, to those who have chosen to bear false witness and all of that, it's going to be brutal for them. It's really going to be quite dramatic. And for us here who are serving popcorn to the befuddled crowd, and handing out tissues and making cups of normality for people, and some of you are going to be ministering in whatever form that is appropriate to you and your sort of spiritual understanding. It's going to be busy. So play some sad songs now and love your loved ones. It's just going to help take off some of the pressure and the unexpected alliance. About the unexpected alliances. You're going to be surprised who some of the partners were on, who was really working together, who appeared to be enemies, but really they were on the same side all along. And who's going to come to your aid might be a delightful surprise. For those of you who have chosen God or goodness, the life and love, all things good and wholesome, I think you're going to get some delightful surprises about who's with you on this. So we'll just throw some coins, shall we? After that very long little unstructured message. So the question for the coins was, dear sage, what to sacrifice? That's right, because, and the reason why I got to this question was because of the beam of light thing. It's like it's going to be parts of the journey where you're just going to have to be very, very clear in your priorities. It's kind of like a survivor situation. May not be a 3D thing. It could be possibly, just psychologically, although it may be 3D. It's like you're not going to be able to take, it's like hand luggage only. It's like certain points in the journey you're only going to be able to take your hand luggage, but this is possibly psychologically, or it's just about priorities. It's like you can only carry a little bit through certain key, narrow, there's like narrow portals you're going to have to pass through that are like hand luggages only. So it's like what to sacrifice was the question, because you can't take it all with you, right? So what are you going to sacrifice? So what does the sage want the collective to know about what to sacrifice as we get round to brass tacks before it all opens up? Because I was getting, and we've got, so what have we got here? 2 heads and a tail. I was getting that it all opens up again on the other side of, as you pass through the small, it's like passing through the eye of the needle or whatever. It all opens up again on the other side, and everything that you had to leave behind gets restored on the other side. But you have to go through this. It's almost like an airport with like luggage only, hand luggage only, but it's not necessarily that in the 3D. I mean, I don't think a lot of people want to be going on planes right now if they don't have to. But it just may be that that so much stuff is going on that you can only just keep 3 balls in the air, for example. This is not a time for juggling 7 chainsaws. This is a time for juggling 3 different pieces of fruit or something like that. So what to sacrifice and what to take with you? So this is the what to sacrifice. Okay, again, 2 heads and a tail, so that's a yin line. And now we have 3, 2, it's 2, 4, 6, so it's a moving yin line. I'm trying to get over from articulating land to counting land here. Okay, that's a yang line. And that's a moving yang line, 3 heads. And that's also a yang line, but it's stable. Okay, so we have stagnation. So you have to sacrifice stagnation. I was a bit nervous about this. I was like, how am I going to interpret this? But that's fairly straightforward as starters. Sacrificing stagnation and materialism. Okay, because obviously, unless you're the ops, but for most of the people watching this video, you're of the you've already chosen the good, the love, the light, truth, justice, integrity, all those wholesome things. Right? So this is for you, is let go of the stagnation. And it changes to let's see, That line stays the same, that stays the same, then that changes, then that stays the same, and then that changes. It changes to travelling. So you may actually have to travel. Okay, so what you got was hexagram 12 with moving lines 3 and 5, which changes to hexagram 56. Now the basic gist of this, what you need to know about this, is that the situation is decaying. Like, this is when all material concerns and indulgences and all, the whole situation is just not fresh, it's not lively, it's corrupt, it's full of corruption, it's full of deceit. You know, people are lying to themselves, they're lying to each other. It's just everything we were talking about before about serving mammon. And it's a warning to anyone who has this, receives this hexagram, not to be like that. So you got the third moving line, which was a turning point is ahead, which is what I was just saying before. Some people have risen up the ladder under false pretensions. They don't have the ability or the talent to justify their promotion. But don't complain, just let fate take its course. Right? So, all this corruption is coming up to be sorted now. And the best thing is to just stay out of the way while, and trying to keep yourself clean. And examine your own motives and make sure that you're not tuning in, you're not matching that energy. So you want to keep, it's more like the last hexagram that the last reading, it's very much a similar message to the last hexagram that we had, the last reading that we had, which was that the roof was about to fall in and get out of the way. It's kind of a bit like that. It's like you might as well just keep to yourself at the moment, double down on your drinking of water and your exercise routine and all these things that are to do with detaching yourself from this acquisition of power, money, physical gratification, all those kind of things. Because people are going crazy out there, clawing each other's eyeballs out to get a piece of the pie. And if you go out there and join them, it's just going to be rough and ugly. So don't. Just stay away from these people who are only interested in vacuous, shallow, selfish, narcissistic interests, because there's no way you can get involved with them at the moment. It's not like, it's not a auspicious time, like the hexagram was sort of says in the main stanza. It's not an auspicious time to be involved with these people, as the risks are just too high. Anyone who doesn't have integrity is going to be problematic for you now, more so than usual. You know, the costs, the stakes are higher. But the situation is moving towards its conclusion, because you get line 5, which says, the gossip who has held the ear of the person in charge has lost influence. Well, that's a relief. And there is now an investigation into the right way to do things. The cheat can no longer hide. Your personal problems are nearly at the end. So it's like, a lot of the times it's just about like hanging in there for that last little, those last things to happen. And it makes me go back to my notes that I had from all the downloads I had since the last reading. And I did also get the word gaskets, like the gaskets are blowing. And what I was getting is that, like, all these rotten situations that are literally unsustainable, like unsustainable is not just some fancy woke word. It's an actual concept. You know, like if the bridge doesn't have enough supports under it, it's not going to stay up when a heavy vehicle goes over it. You know, it's an engineering thing, and it needs to be looked at in that sense, not as some kind of woke ideology. It's like just pure engineering and laws of gravity, and also the laws of conduct, and, you know, those universal laws and principles. So the things that are unsustainable or have, you know, reached the end of their natural cycle or whatever, they're not going to be able to handle the pressure that's coming over the next little while. It's like you might be able to putt around in a car with dodgy gaskets, but once you put it under pressure, those gaskets are going to blow. So it's a bit like that. The situation has reached such a state of decay that the gaskets can't separate the oil and water anymore, or whatever. Like the whole thing is just going to become exposed. Everyone's lies are about to be exposed. So you don't want to be associated with any of these people who are being really, I mean, you wouldn't be anyway, most likely. You've already left them behind, these karmics. But they're probably all going to turn on each other now. And it's just going to not be pleasant. So after all of that comes out, then you get 56, which is travelling, which basically means moving on. The situation just moves on. It's like seeking new fuel. As the fire moves up the mountain, it needs more fuel to keep burning. So if you're the fire, you need new fuel, because there's no fuel here in this situation. Sorry, I'm talking to you like you know what that means, but here in hexagram 12, it's rotten. So it is not good fuel. It's not going to, you know, it's like opening the fridge and finding a bunch of limp vegetables. It's not really going to give you the nutrition that you need. You need something full of chi to fuel your machine, and it's the same with all those things. So I think maybe that thing of like just getting down to brass tacks is actually a good way of freshening up. You know, you don't need to take all this rotten baggage with you. Just let it go. You are going to have to move forward because the gasket is going to blow. All the secrets are going to come out. And I think that's probably, you know, why you've got a mixture of delight and sadness all mixed in together. Because the main word I got in all my downloads since the last reading was, you know, bittersweet, happy, sad. It's like the good and the bad mixed up, but they're just arbitrary labels, good and bad in some sense. But it's like the happy and sad all mixed up together, because there's an enormous relief when these gaskets do blow. I mean, you may not have planned for a picnic on the side of the road, but the conversation you have when the gasket blows may be just the conversation you needed to have. I don't know. For this karmics, it's certainly all going to go down. It's going to be quite dramatic, I think. All right, so anything else to be aware of? I'll just pull a few of these cards. Anything else to be aware of? Loyalty. Okay, because we've got the dog here. So that's all about loyalty. Just want to stay with your small, loyal circle of those who you can trust, who do not worship mammon, who are trustworthy, who are honest, who will choose love, who will choose goodness or God. And you need to be that loyal dog too, I'm just hearing. Okay. Loyal to the what you have committed to, which is goodness, love, light, truth. Retain your loyalty to the truth. That will see you through. If you can be honest with yourself, that's going to help a lot. Yeah, the coffin. But some of these endings will be close to you. Unfortunately or fortunately. Or it's, yeah. Why am I surprised to see the coffin there? I mean, that was the first thing that came up, was the wake. To have the wake now. Love those, love your enemies even. Because once they're gone, you know, the whole era ends. And there will be potentially collateral damage. There already has been. There already has been. This is the end of an era. It's already been done. Something has already ended. Even if you don't feel it right now, you will be feeling the ending of it. It may not be what you expect. Also, what else can you show us? Let's pull 2 more cards like this. Full moon. Okay, so sometime around the full moon, this ending could happen. I think there's been a series of endings because something definitely happened over the weekend that shifted things a lot. It was definitely, I feel like it's a series of gaskets blowing, almost like, and then it's like dam walls breaking and the truth being released. If the water was the truth and there's dams down the river, as the flood comes and the dam walls break, and the water of truth just floods down the river system and just goes way up the banks because the dam wall's broken, and it's just like flooding and changing the whole landscape below that dam that's burst with the truth that's just rapidly going downhill. This has already started happening. I'm just getting that there's more of it. It's more of it. More gaskets blowing, more dams blowing, more secrets that just can't be hidden anymore. It's all open. The reflection is there. Under the full moon, there's no darkness left. It's not proper darkness. And so there's the rider with the message coming in. Okay. Let's pull 4 of these activity cards. Get some more clues. 4 activity cards. I might put them in the usual order I put them. Okay, so this is our viewer. Abundance. So trust in the abundance. You can actually let go of anything that's rotten, corrupt, you know, that's about to blow its gasket. You know, just get rid of the old gasket. Get rid of the old rotten things, because you are walking in the energy of abundance. You're going to be fine. Even if you have to go through the porthole with only carry-on luggage, you'll be fine at the other end of it. Because that's your energy. That's you. You're in the abundance, empress kind of energy. You'll be right. That's your energy, and then there's no rottenness there. So I'm getting that it's, you know, some of the institutions around you, or the people, you know, possibly even things like material things like buildings. That's just what came to mind. Buildings. There's some rotten buildings around. There's some rotting trees that are going to drop their branches. There's some rotting food. There's some rotten lies, rotten deceits. But it's not you who's rotten. You've got this lovely, fresh, abundant energy. So you'll be right as you move forward. Okay, what's the possible block or challenge then? I did get, though, in my downloads throughout the week, that to double down on this fitness, on your physical fitness, that's going to be really important moving forward. You know, you should almost treat yourself like you're at a mini boot camp in between the sad songs, and do a few extra exercises. If you're going to walk for 5 kilometres, make it 6 or 7. Okay, so for part 2, what is it as the possible block or challenge for the collective? Children. So those you have to look after. Maybe you have to protect them. Maybe they're just going to be challenging. Okay, I'm not sure what that is, but that's in the challenge department. It's the children. I guess you're going to want to shelter them from any of these fallouts, and you will have to be responsible for them, guiding them correctly. As all this confusing stuff is going down, they will need your guidance to make sense of. There's a lot going on in the world. They're really going to need help knowing how to form their values so that they don't get caught up in the mammon and have to pay that hefty price that the karmics are now paying. The karmics may think that they're winning at the moment. They may even carry on like they're winning for some time yet, but I just got by those sad songs think like there's going to be some really unexpected losses for them. It won't necessarily be what they think. It might even be shocking to us as the viewer. Okay, helpers guidance. Travel. What a perfectly coherent reading. There's a travel card there, and he's on a train, it looks like, which that feels more appropriate, a train or a bus. I mean, it could be a plane. This one, it could even be a ferry. You might not want to pay the ferryman until they get you to the other side. Yes, so travel, you got hexagram 56 travel, and you got the travel card, so that's strongly aspected. So get ready to go. You don't want to take all your old daggy clothes that are just past. You only got carry-on luggage, so you might want to get fit, get ready to travel, get rid of all the stuff you don't need. Stay home and stay away from these karmics who are all out backstabbing each other, having heavy losses at the moment, and with their pants down, their hands in the cookie jar. You don't want to be associated with these people. It's not an auspicious time to be associating with people who lack integrity. It's really not advisable. And, I guess that's also why you're getting to do extra exercise and extra physical maintenance, is that's also keeping you away from dangerous temptations to do with indulgences on the physical level. Whatever you may be into there. We all have our temptations. I personally have way too much sugar, much more than I should. So if I was to go out and do extra exercise, that would keep me away from the sugar pot and away from the caffeine that I really shouldn't be having so often. That's just my example, personally. So, yeah. More boot camp, more travelling, less indulgences physically. Okay, so where's all this leading? What's in the outcome position here? We have options. Consider the career possibilities that are open to you. Oh, well, okay, so you're going to have many possible options. It's really up to you where you want to go and what you want to do. But it seems like this old thing, this thing that's full of rotten corruption, lies, people who are totally focused on mammon, materialism, power struggles, money, they're going to have their Hunger Games, dog eat dog, Squid Game thing or whatever, their fight to the death to win the glittering prize that's actually worth nothing with nobody to share it with anyway. You get to the top of the pile of gold and then realise that you can't even trust anyone to be close to you to share it with, because they just want to stab you in the back and steal your gold and be king of the world too. So, no, that's not going to be a lot of fun for them. There's no actual nice way out of it for them. And they're likely to do desperate things in an effort to hold on to their money and power. They may take hostages, try to use chosen ones as human shields. I mean, we've already been through enough of that. Being used as a human shield, whether it be financially, psychologically, emotionally, reputationally, whatever, or as an actual human shield. So just stay away from those corrupt people. It's not an auspicious time to be taking risks with them. And love the ones close to you. Because there's I don't think we're getting that we should be singing sad songs for no reason. I don't think necessarily those closest to you are in any danger. But you may need each other for some emotional support, and to watch each other's backs while these just keep an eye on each other while these karmics go crazy doing their Squid Game, Hunger Games, or whatever they're mad, tearing each other's eyes out, ripping each other's hair out, metaphorically speaking, trying to get to the top of the pile of poo of material crap that they've accumulated. They won't be able to trust anyone to share it with them. It's really quite a miserable life. But yeah, they're going to be going for it because they believe in that stuff. They already sold their soul some time ago. Now they've got to pay the price. They're already in this thing. There's no easy options for them. Whereas you're fortunate enough that there's options for you. There's an option to go away, to move forward or whatever, to travel and start something new. New opportunities waiting for you. You just have to avoid these people who lack integrity while it all goes down. I think that's enough said, collective. It's a pretty clear message. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Sage and Helpers, for giving me nice, consistent messages. Like, it doesn't get much clearer than that. 56, which is the hexagram for travel, and then I pull out the card for travel, and the horse, which is travelling as well. It's a messenger, or it can be travelling. It can be either way. Either you get on your horse and go, obviously as a vegan, I'm not going to be getting on any horses and enslaving them, but the message is the same. You know, get on your push bike and go, or someone's coming on their push bike to you. But there's movement here. That's what probably breaks the stagnation and gives you fresh fuel for inspiration. Just take a trip. You've got plenty of options of where you can go. But you can't hang out with these materialistic, lying, deceiving, power-hungry people at the moment if you want to be safe. They're dangerous to you. You know, they're falling down, they're taking hostages, they're using human shields, they're throwing each other under the bus, all that sort of thing. It's kind of a fight to the death. You've already chosen your side. I think you get to, you actually get to have some good fun after all of this. But there's maybe a few sad songs first. It is going to be significant changes. That's fairly obvious. You just need to turn on the news to see that. But sad songs are going to help you process the emotions, or they're going to help keep you safe. That was the other thing. It helps keep you safe because some of those angry people just need to cry. And if they could cry, then that would be a lot better from everybody else around them than if they start picking up objects and hurting people with them or something like that. So it's better for all these angry people to have a cry. So don't hesitate to put on a sad song, Mr. DJ. And same goes for sad movies and all of that. But really, people just need to, whatever side you've chosen, get to, have a living wake, because you're not going to have time for it later. When the full impact of these endings happen, you are going to be too busy dealing with practical details or processing what's just, trying to understand on an intellectual level what's just happened, to be able to deal with the emotions of it. That's why this little opportunity now is an opportunity to... Oh, and I also just heard... process some of those unhealed childhood emotions. You don't want to be bringing them... that's why we've got children. It's all falling into place now. That's why children is in the challenge position, because some of these emotions, it's like a loss of innocence too, I think. Some of these are childhood wounds that you need to process in order to be able to move forward without so much emotional baggage. There you go. It's your childhood wounds. And you might want to remember what you actually wanted as a child, what your childhood dreams were, and how you saw things of the adult world when you were a child, how you used to look at the adult world and what you thought was silly that the adults did, and how the adults hurt you. Yeah, so there's inner child healing to be done here, so that you can go forward on your journey, whether it be by train or bicycle or horse or whatever, that you're going to go forward without too much baggage. This is a streamlining thing. I think it's all working in your favour. And the full moon's going to illuminate a lot, I just heard. And there's definite endings. This whole reading is totally lining up. Everything's consistent and congruent with the downloads I was getting before, so I appreciate that, dear Sage. Is that it? I'm going to throw the dice just once for overall flavour on the positive side. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So, when I throw the dice as 3, the book that goes with it says that somebody who hurt you is now getting a taste of their own medicine. Right. So you get to sing a few sad songs and move forward unencumbered, whereas what happens for them is actually much more painful and quite shocking, I think. And you might not want to be around to see the aftermath. Just shed your extra baggage and be prepared to move forward. Yeah, it's their stuff to deal with. You're not obliged to come to the rescue. You can sing them a sad song though. You can wish them well as a worthy opponent as they go crashing down by their own hand. Well, actually by the hands of probably their co-conspirators are probably going to turn against them and throw them under the bus. Because if they could do it to you, viewer, as happened to many people last year, they could certainly do it to someone else. Let's just say that. If they could do it to you, an innocent, they could do it to anyone. There's a lot of water under the bridge. And I think a lot of these dark secrets are going to come up. There's layers and layers of it. But you don't have to look back. You sing your sad songs now and say your farewells, your long goodbyes. It's the long goodbye, I think. So once you actually go, there's no looking back. It's going to be changed forever. This ending energy, this death energy, I've been feeling it all week. It's so strong. And I keep hearing that it's already happened. Something's already happened that changes things forever. And it may not even seem that big, but it is. And that there's more to come. It doesn't have to be actual people dying, although I'm sure that there'll be some of that as well. It's just the energy of endings, of things not being the same again. That's done now. You have to move forward. I think I've said enough, collective. You have a good one. Have a lovely time singing sad songs. Bye now.